I never imagined that buying my dream home would make me question my place in my own family. For 7 years, I saved for that house, not 7 years of effortless saving. 7 years of saying no to vacations, postponing upgrades, working extra shifts, and convincing myself that the reward would be worth the wait. When I finally signed the papers, I was 62 years old. The house wasn't enormous, it wasn't in a wealthy neighborhood, but it was mine. The first thing I did after moving in was plan a small housewarming gathering. I invited my siblings, a few old friends, my son Daniel and his wife Rebecca. If I'm honest, Rebecca's presence mattered more to me than I wanted to admit. She had never been rude. That would have been easier. Instead, she was distant in a way that couldn't be challenged, always polite, always respectful, always just slightly out of reach. Over the years, I found myself trying harder around her than around anyone else. When she mentioned liking a certain type of tea, I remembered. When she visited, I made sure there were foods she enjoyed. When birthdays came around, I spent extra time choosing gifts. Nothing dramatic, nothing desperate. Just small efforts that I hope would eventually build a connection. They never seemed to. Still, when I sent the invitation for the housewarming, she replied that she would try her best to attend. I held on to those words. The morning of the gathering, I woke up before sunrise. I walked through every room checking details nobody else would notice. Fresh flowers, clean counters, family photos arranged carefully on shelves. One picture showed Daniel as a little boy helping me paint a bedroom in our old apartment. I smiled every time I passed it. By noon, guests began arriving. The house filled with conversation. People complimented the kitchen. They admired the garden. Several friends knew how long I had worked toward this moment. Their happiness felt genuine. Daniel arrived alone. I remember noticing immediately. Not because I expected Rebecca to be standing beside him every second, but because she wasn't. She's running late? I asked. Daniel hesitated. I think so. The words stayed with me. An hour passed, then another. Each time my phone vibrated, I looked nothing. Guests continued laughing and eating, while part of my attention remained fixed on the front door. Eventually, I stopped checking, not because I stopped caring, because caring had become embarrassing. The gathering ended in the evening. People hugged me before leaving. They told me they were proud of what I'd accomplished. The house felt strangely quiet afterward. Daniel stayed behind to help clean. Neither of us mentioned Rebecca for a while. Finally, I asked, "Is everything okay?" He sighed. She decided not to come. I waited. Why? I don't really know. The answer felt worse than any excuse. Not angry, not insulting, just absent. For several weeks, I carried that feeling around. I wasn't devastated. I was confused. The housewarming had never been about showing off a house. It had been about sharing something meaningful, and somehow her absence made me wonder whether I had imagined the importance of our relationship entirely. Then something unexpected happened. A few months later, I met with an attorney to update my estate planning. The new house had changed several practical matters. The meeting was routine, namaznosk future responsibilities, nothing emotional. At one point, the attorney asked a simple question. Who actively participates in your life and would realistically be involved if you needed assistance with property decisions in the future? It was such an ordinary question, yet I found myself pausing. The attorney wasn't asking who I loved. He wasn't asking who I wished were closer. He was asking about reality. Who showed up? Who stayed involved? Who could actually be counted on? For the first time, I answered without hope, without interpretation, and without filling in gaps for other people. Just facts. The conversation lasted less than 10 minutes, but something shifted inside me. Not because anyone was punished. Not because anyone lost anything, because an authority figure had unintentionally forced me to separate expectation from evidence. I left the office feeling lighter. A few weeks later, Rebecca finally brought up the housewarming. We were standing in my kitchen. The same kitchen she had never seen on the day it was filled with family. She apologized briefly. She said life had been stressful. She said she hadn't realized how important the event was to me. I believed her mostly. But something had changed. I no longer needed her explanation to repair my self-worth. For years, I had been trying to earn a connection that couldn't be built by effort alone. Relationships require participation from both people. No amount of patience can replace that. Our conversation remained polite. No confrontation, no dramatic reconciliation, no sudden breakthrough. Just honesty, maybe for the first time. That evening after they left, I walked through the house room by room, the living room, the hallway, the small garden outside. The achievement felt different than it had on the day of the housewarming, less emotional, more solid. I finally understood that the dream home had never been proof that I was worthy of recognition. It was proof that I could build something meaningful, regardless of who noticed. The relationship with Rebecca didn't become perfect. Some distance remained, some questions remained, but the need for her approval slowly faded. And in a strange way, that became the real housewarming. Not the day everyone gathered, the day I stopped measuring my value by whether someone chose to show up.